She's really excited.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Serving.
No.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, okay.
Good deal.
I was gonna say we have a minute.
If somebody give you a thumbs up, make sure they can hear you.
Can you hear us? Someone, maybe show your
Yep.
screen.
We can hear you.
All right. Thank
Good
you,
deal.
Ms. Kenter.
We still have a few more entering.
All right, well, it's 6 o'clock and we still do have a few more people entering the room. First of all, we'd like to say thank you for joining us today for our first community forum talking about the Huddle Ninth Grade Center. I'm Dr. Lakeisha Whitfield. I'm the proud principal of the Ninth Grade Center. And this wonderful man to my right.
I am Shannon Morrison. I will be one of the assistant principals over there at the Ninth Grade Center.
Okay. And we also have one more assistant principal who will be joining us, Mr. Julio Perez. He's actually an assistant principal currently in Irving, Texas at Irving High School. And so we're looking forward to bringing him on board. So you've joined because you want to hear more about what the Fine Arts program is going to look like at the Ninth Grade Center. We definitely will go more in depth with the Fine Arts. We want to give you just a little bit of general information and try to answer some of the frequently asked questions prior to getting to the Fine Arts portion. So let's get started.
Sure thing.
All right. So the first question. Also, before I actually get started, we get eager sometimes. We do want to set some norms. Please make sure that you mute yourselves so that we won't be distracted during the meeting. Also, should you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will address them once we open for our question and answer period. Okay. All right. So why the Ninth Grade Center? Well, research shows and tells us that ninth graders typically have several concerns, several issues when they're going to the ninth grade. It could be academic, behavioral, social, emotional, and they have a lot of unique needs. In addition to that, at our high school, Huddle High School, our flagship, we were getting overcrowded. We were 2,400 students plus. And so what we decided to do, what the district decided to do in its infinite wisdom, was to open the Ninth Grade Center to adhere to our students' needs so we can better serve them, and then also decrease the student population at the high school. Also, a question has been raised, will this be the second high school? And the answer is yes. However, it will be some time before it'll become the second high school. We're looking at maybe 7 years or so, according to what the demographers are saying right now. But we all know that we are booming. We have 3 or 4 neighborhoods that are currently going up, and we have a lot of businesses that are coming in. But it will be the second high school. And please understand that we will be hippos. We will continue to be Hippo Nation as we add the second high school. So our campus is beautiful. If you had the opportunity to go down 1660, right before you get to Chandler Road and you see the Jonah Water Tower, you'll see our facility. It is beautiful. It was designed purposely for collaboration and for innovative instruction. Some of the components of the building consist of neighborhoods. If you have an elementary school student, or if you've ever visited Curly Elementary School, you'll see neighborhoods there as well. That's the open spaces where teachers can send students out individually or in groups, and they can work on projects together. It's typically filled, and ours will be filled with colorful, flexible seating to encourage our students' innovative thought and just to enjoy the learning space. Something that's also unique to the Ninth Grade Center are teacher pods. This is where our teachers will be primarily housed, and they will be heterogeneous groups, meaning it won't just be science, math, science, social studies separately. We will have one math, one science, one history, one English teacher, and in some cases an inclusion teacher, to where they'll get together and collaborate, and they'll talk about those student needs we addressed earlier. What's going on socially, emotionally with this student? How's this student doing academically? how is this student doing behaviorally? They come together to collectively address the needs and the concerns of our students. Also in these pods, this is where we'll be able to meet with our parents. So parents, when we have a parent-teacher conference, you don't have to meet with one teacher individually. We can meet collectively in that space. And then also, as we both learn about the building and how it was designed, we came up with the model of Watch Us Shine at the 9. SHINE is an acronym that stands for S, students are priority. We're going to serve our students and meet them where they are, address their needs and their concerns. H stands for harvesting relationships. We know that building relationships with our students is first and foremost. And when we build those relationships, it gives us gains, leaps and bounds. I, innovative and inclusive instruction. Again, going back to the collaboration, going back to making sure our students see themselves in our instruction and just thinking outside of the box to reach our students academically. And never ceasing to grow. So in education, we often focus on the students growing, which we do. However, we want to also focus on our students and our teachers growing so that we can better service our student needs. And then E, effective communication. And that goes across the board, student to student, student to teacher, teachers to parents, because we want to make sure that we're proactive in our communication and make sure that you as parents understand you are very welcome and you are a vital part of your students' education. Another question that's continued to be raised is the bell schedule. Though we are on separate campuses, we still will have the same bell schedule as Huddle High School. Next year, our time is going to change. Actually, all of our school times will change at the primary and secondary level. We will start at 9 a.m. and we will finish at 4:25. We will have a 9-period day, 45-minute classes. Our students will have 4 core classes. They'll have a lunch period and they will have elective courses. And then the last thing we're going to address on this slide is 3-tiered busing system. Again, this is something new that we're going into next year because we're all growing and we want to make sure we get all of our students safely and in timely fashion to their campuses. So we'll have primary bus routes and we will have also secondary bus routes. One question that was raised was, will my 9th grader be on a bus with a senior? For some routes, that may be the case. Mr. Eckerner's team are continuing to work that out. And also based on people who are requesting busing services, they divvy that up accordingly. So there's a possibility your freshman could be on the bus with the 18-year-old such that they will go drop those high school students, 10th through 12th high school students off and then proceed to the 9th grade center. Okay. Yes, sir.
Your screen's not sharing.
Oh, okay. And my sincere apologies. It appears as though my screen is not sharing. So
Let's go down to. You'll have to go back to go to Zoom up there at the top.
here or here? Okay.
That green arrow.
My sincere apologies, everyone. I was not sharing my screen.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. So Ms. Kenter, you talked to us earlier. Can you now see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our sincere apologies for that. We were so eager that we forgot to click the button that says share screen.
It was really all just one slide, so you only missed one slide. So there you
Thank
go.
you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. Okay, so we talked about Shine at the 9, and a lot of that is definitely focused on relationship building and also the educational piece of being a freshman. One thing that our students will do is we talked about 4 elective courses. They will take what we call a career and technical education course, often referred to as CTE. So when your students did the course verification and the course enrollment earlier this spring, they chose to either be in the STEM, business and industry, public service, arts and humanities, or the multidisciplinary studies. And for some students, they may have chosen 2 different endorsements. And at the 9th grade center, we offer the introductory courses, which we call the principles courses. And we have one that is entitled Fundamentals of Computer Science. Okay.
There you go.
All right. And so now just a brief overview of our athletic program. Again, something that many of our parents have wrote in and asked us about. We will have certain sports that are just housed at the ninth grade center, and we'll also have some sports that are at the high school. So the way these sports have been divvied up are based on what we were able to house at the ninth grade center, as well as also whether they are only varsity, JV, or freshman sports. So for example, many of our female sports predominantly will be in the morning, first period. So that student, a female student could possibly start at the high school if they make the varsity level sports, and then they're transported to the ninth grade center in time for second period. Most of our male sports will be the ninth period, and it would just be the reverse, where they will finish a period. We're not going to take away the instructional time, and the students will be transported during ninth period to make it to the high school to practice that sport. And so, for example, with some sports that we're not able to house at the freshman center at this phase of the project, for example, tennis, swim, baseball, softball, those students, both male and female, will go over to the high school.
Mhm.
Okay. And so as far as where we'll be able to watch our young scholars, watch our students play their games, it'll be split based on the sports as well. And there will be some that'll be played at the ninth grade center, some that'll be played at the high school. As far as our coaching staff, we've been able to add some additional coaches or additional positions to make sure that our students are taken care of. We're going to have two athletic coordinators, one female athletic coordinator and one male athletic coordinator. And we're also going to have a strength and conditioning coach. Just as their minds are developing, their bodies are developing. And we thought it was very important to ensure that we had someone to take care of their physical needs as they're competing on the field. Also, we're going to have a booster club just as we would at the high school. And so if you use the QR code, that's a way to get more information about how you can be involved in the booster club. And our other athletes, our cheerleaders, we do have currently 12 students who have made the cheer squad, and they will go over during ninth period to work with the upper level cheerleaders with Miss Wright and her team. Okay, so now to the feature of the hour. We're going to start talking about fine arts. And I do want to make an announcement that we're very fortunate to have our fine arts person here from the district, Miss Amber Kingsley. She's in the audience with us. I do see our high school band director, Mr. Stacy Gist, online, and I'm uncertain if there are any additional band directors and personnel, fine arts personnel who are online, but we greatly appreciate them joining us.
Mr. Rush is also online, Dr.
Okay.
Whitfield.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gist. Hello, Mr. Rush, thank you for joining us. All right, so to
Hello.
talk about, hello, Mr. Rush. All right, so let's start with the fine arts. We're going to talk about the theater arts program first. The classes that will be offered at the ninth grade center include theater arts, technical theater, and theater production. We'll have one teacher who will take care of all of these courses. And for all of those theater people, they're thespians out there, our students will compete in the UIL one-act play with the high school. You'll hear me say this several times. Even though we are on two different sites, we are still one high school, and we'll be working in concert together. Fine arts dance. Many of the times we go visit the middle schools. This is one question of a student asked, will we be able to do dance? Will we have a high stepper class? So we will offer dance 1 as well as dance prep. Dance 1 is for those students who would like to take dance as a PE credit. Dance prep is for those students who would like to try out for the high steppers. So this is not a class that guarantees that the students become high steppers, but this is preparing them should they want to try out and make the high stepper team. And there definitely will be some performance opportunities for both classes, whether your child is taking dance 1 or dance prep. We'll have a fall showcase, and we'll also have a spring show. Choir, this beautiful facility we have here. We have choir, the band and choir will share this space. They will compete with UIL, again, with the high school, and transportation will be provided for our students to go to the high school as needed based on competition and what season it is. Okay. Ninth grade band, this is the biggie. So one thing we want to make sure that we leave here understanding that your ninth grade student is a part of the Hutto High School band. Let me say that again. Your ninth grade student is a part of the Hutto High School band. And just like with choir, transportation will be provided based on the season, what's going on. If it's a game, your student will be transported either in the morning or after school to the high school. We'll have our concert season and we'll also have a jazz band. Okay. Fine Arts Color Guard, the beautiful young ladies and gentlemen who support and complement our band. They are a vital part of our marching band. Again, transportation will be provided for these students as well. Winter Guard will be offered November through April. This is where our students will learn the movement and the equipment skills of being fine art, being the color guard personnel. And I did ask if we're going to have any twirlers in ninth grade. So that's something we'll need to check on and see. And then also we'll participate in the UIL marching band contest as well. Okay, so hopefully we made our time because we definitely want to give time for you, our wonderful audience, to ask us any questions that you may have concerning the ninth grade center and also primary focus for the fine arts program that we'll have. So let's check our chat.
In the chat,
Nothing in the chat.
it's such a small crowd, you can probably ask them to unmute and just ask their questions.
Okay. So did we hear Mr. Robinson? We currently have 14 people who are visiting, 14 people who have chimed in. We thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute and ask your question.
So you mentioned having a single teacher for the theater classes. Is that a position that you're still filling?
Yes, ma'am. That is position we are currently filling. Hopefully, we're getting close.
You can stop sharing so you can see them all. Up at the very top, it says the little red button.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Okay, thank you for that question, Ms. Kenter.
There you go.
Ms. Kinter, that theater teacher will teach not just theater, but also the technical theater and what's the third one they teach?
Theater arts production.
Theater production.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, Ms. Kenter, we are amidst hiring. We're doing it as fast as we can. However, we are very particular about the teachers who will be at the ninth grade center. I hear Dr. Thomas laughing in the background.
At last.
Because we want to make sure we get the right people on campus to be a family, as a faculty family, but also to make sure that we adhere to our students' needs. And so we don't take the hiring process lightly, and we're making sure we have a pretty strenuous interview process.
Yep.
No, that's really good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
So are we to assume that the scheduling, if you have somebody in the fine arts with the transportation as in band, they'll be scheduled to have either the first or the ninth period that will include time for transportation?
Yes, ma'am. So the band will be transported after school typically. It'll be transported after school in order to go with the high school marching band and practice after school.
But they have a band, they will have bands scheduled within their day on top of that.
Did we address your question, Ms.
Okay.
Brown?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And so we do have a question in the chat.
You actually just covered it.
Okay.
So the students taking part in the band class at the ninth grade center, then transported over to the high school for marching practice.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Okay. Another question. I wonder if that means we did an amazing job with the presentation.
Well, you did the
Could have been-
presentation.
Could
so,
have been that
yeah.
good. Don't be shy.
All good questions.
Mhm. Okay. There's a new question. Let's see. How do we get into varsity theater, or how does that system work? Okay. That's a great question. Varsity theater. Ms. Kingsley, would you mind addressing that one? Because I believe the varsity theater is where I'm getting hung up. It's more about, so that question is being asked, is that more about how do you get to compete in UIL one act play? Yes. Okay. Ms. Kingsley?
So everyone will have an opportunity to audition for one act play. She is opening it up to everyone at from the high school and ninth grade center. And if they get chosen, they will be transported when necessary from the ninth grade center to the high school to participate. Did that answer the question?
Hopefully.
Thank you for that question.
Is that also how they'll handle productions? Will the ninth grade center do their own productions, do you know, for after school productions, or do they plan to join the high school for those?
I believe it's going to be a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Because we do have the Black Box Theater on campus and it's on our second floor. It's a beautiful space. That's the space that we will actually share with our dance team. However, the way the space is designed, it outflows into the common area. And we want to be able to showcase that space and utilize it for small productions, for maybe our choir, for our theater program, even if we want to do something like a poetry slam, because we want to encourage our kids to read and perform. And so we'd like to do a lot of those things moving forward next year. The beautiful thing about starting a school is we get to be creative. And the nice thing about you all asking questions, you may bring some things to the forefront that we haven't thought about. Mr. Gist, Mr. Rush, did you have anything you'd like to add while our parents are thinking about questions to ask?
No, I think you did a great job of covering everything and greatly appreciate that. If my dogs start barking, I apologize for that. I had to put them out. We're going to make sure that the freshmen are definitely a part of our band program, not only marching band, but concert band as well. Yes, there will be 2 concert bands over at the freshman center. So there will be 2 separate freshman bands over there. And then at some point we will combine not only with marching band, but like when we do our trips and things like that, all of the freshmen will be able to be a part of that. I know that we have a proposal for our board for Dr. Thomas to go to Disney next year. We were supposed to go this year, it got canceled. So we have resubmitted that proposal to Dr. Thomas and school board. And if that gets approved, then provided there are no travel restrictions for COVID or other things, then next spring break, we will travel to Disney and the freshmen will be included in that trip. So we're going to make sure that you are part of the program at all times. It will just be on separate campuses during the day, but there may be a point where we do a full concert band as well, where we include the freshmen in our concert band along with 10th through 12th graders in the spring. We're still trying to work out the logistics of that.
Thank you, Mr. Gist. We do have a question in the chat. We're going to ask Mr. Rush if he has anything to add, and then we'll go to that question.
Yeah, just real quick, and just to clarify the transportation question about is there an open ninth or first or ninth period? I think sometimes we're familiar with athletic periods being first or ninth so that they can move and start a rehearsal in the school day and bleed into outside school hours. But the band classes are all in the afternoon. Your students will have that band class because that's the curricular part of that class. There are TEKs, and that's a protected time. The students need that school time. So all the transportation will happen outside of school hours. And when we do have a Friday morning rehearsal, we will end early enough so that your child can get to the Huddle Ninth Grade Center in time for his or her first period class, which is not going to be band. There aren't any morning band classes. Those are all in the afternoon. So we want to make sure there's plenty of time for them to travel and get there and get changed and everything so that they can make that class. They will not be missing out on class time, on TEKS time, on state standards time because of transportation, if that's what you were looking for.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rush. And so we have a question about, do we have a speech and debate program? Yes, that is something in the works. We actually have a teacher who's really itching to get that started. So that is something we want to have. And then also something we've shared with your students as we've gone to the middle schools to start building those relationships with them. If there are any clubs or organizations that they would like to see us have at the ninth grade center, just express that to us and we can help them find a sponsor. And then we get that club and organization going. Of course, there's some legalities or different things we may have to research and find out, but we want to make sure that each of our students has a connection to the school, because we know the students do a lot better if they have a connection to the school. So if it's something they want to do, a Quidditch, something I just recently learned about is something called Mortal Kombat. That's a theater thing. Mr. Morrison knows more than I do about that. But things like that, that sometimes we don't know, but students are highly interested in. We want to do our very best to meet those needs and make sure they're interested and give them a little something extra to enjoy coming to school.
I can tell, even like having Sims come over, there will definitely be a chess club. That'll be a big deal. Really looking into esports right now as well. We've got a lot of kids that are interested in esports. So, and then we're interested in anything else, that people bring our way. So.
Okay. And so will the ninth graders have a fun clubs like anime? I personally know just a little bit about anime. Tell the truth, Marcy.
A little bit.
A little bit?
Only because I'm already at the high school. But yeah, there is some legalities around clubs, but as long as you find a sponsor, a teacher that could sponsor, we can certainly look into that for sure.
What was that Mortal Kombat?
It was Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't want to tell you that.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, see,
right
you
now
need to correct me. So it's Dungeons. So that shows you I
That's
really don't know.
That's a
It
total
was
theater thing.
Total
So,
theater thing.
yeah.
Okay. So student. Okay. So to answer your question, yes. And that's something just as I just learned about Dungeons and Dragons, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
When your students ask for clubs and organizations, we get to learn as well. And we both love to learn. And so please encourage your students to talk to us about it and ask us about it. Everyone's so quiet. Oh my.
We like the questions.
Yes, we do. Anyone else? I have a question. Is anyone student out there? Does anyone have their student sitting next to them whom he or she may have a question for their principal and their assistant principal? We believe.
I have my student, but she made me ask all the questions.
She made you ask all the questions? Well, we're big on one thing in growing our students is the ability to speak publicly, the ability to advocate for themselves. Communication skills are huge. Our students do a lot of social media, which has its place, but we also want to encourage them to be able to speak up and talk academically. And so that's why we asked that question about having them speak and ask questions. So next time, Ms. Kenter, your student has a question, allow them to ask. Well, Mr. Morrison,
Yes, ma'am.
what do we do?
I would say we put a time limit on it. Anybody have any other questions?
Wow.
I don't, but I appreciate you guys putting this together. You gave all the information I was looking for to get us prepared for next year, and I appreciate it.
Shoot us an email. If you have any other questions or anything at all, anything you think of over the next few weeks, don't hesitate to email us, please. The questions are really good for us to think through, and there's still a lot of unanswered questions that we're trying to push through. So we enjoy those questions. They help us to kind of get the ball rolling. So thank you, Ms. Kenter.
Okay. And thank you. We just have someone who's placed a question. Will the ninth graders get a chance to visit the school in person before school starts? So yes, we are in the works planning. We have May 17th, which is next Monday. Farley Middle School in-person students will go. And then Thursday, May 20th, the Huddle Middle School students will go. It'll be fast and furious because we did not want to pull the students from instructional time as much. But we will allow them to come and see the building because we know just going to the space decreases some of the anxiety students may have for going to the ninth grade. Now, in addition to the students being able to go, we have, don't want to call it a fish camp. We do have a freshman boot camp that Mr. Morris and I are currently planning for the students to be able to have that opportunity in the summer. And when parents are picking up their students, they'll be able to go into the building and tour as well, because you as parents have some anxiety also. And then there'll be an opportunity for the entire community to go when we have our open house, which will be August 5th from 4 to 6 p.m. And if you all didn't realize you're watching at least one superstar, we currently have a video on our website of a virtual tour where me and Mr. Morrison and I, we took a virtual tour and talked more about some of the spaces that we have at the ninth grade center. Okay. So as far as the virtual students, thank you. So what we're going to do for the virtual students is many of the options that I just shared, we are going to have those options for the virtual student. And then also specifically, we're going to film one group on May 20th going through the ninth grade center. And they'll be able to record it, and then we will place that recording on the website so that our virtual students will be able to see and tour through that way.
The freshman camp also will be a great opportunity for those virtual kids to see it if they want to come in person at some point, just not right now, but maybe down the line if they want to come. We'd love. And we don't have a date on that fish camp yet. We're waiting for, we got to find out kind of Coach LaPlante's schedule. We don't want to interfere with, we know those freshman athletes, so we're just waiting on the date, but it'll be somewhere around when 2-day starts.
Yeah, we're still working with the construction team because we currently are not occupying the space. And so that does have some bearing on some of the plans that we're making, because we want to make sure the building is safe, that all the furniture has been placed where it was designed to go. And then we will bring our students in and start talking about some of our extracurricular activities, some of our CTE programs. We definitely want to talk about also some of our advanced academics that the students will be able to enjoy as they're learning. And so, and also just to get to know us, Mr. Julio Perez, again, our other assistant principal, and some of their teachers, again, to ease some of the anxiety about going into the freshman year. So we will have a total of 3 floors. It's very interesting the way the building is built. If you've ever gone out there and you've driven out to the site and you're on the 1660 side, the front of the building is 2 stories, but the back of the building from 1660 is 3 stories. But notice I said the front of the building from 1660 and then the back of the building. Actually, it is reversed. It wasn't until I was able to start going into the building that I realized that the front of the school is actually on the opposite side. So there's 3 floors in the front of the building and then 2 in the back.
Remind them that there's going to be a few more of these sessions and what those topics are.
Okay. And so please keep the questions coming in, and should we decide to finish our meeting tonight, there will be additional sessions. This is 1 of 6. And so should you remember or think about a question, please join us. We'll have one on May 17th, which is next Monday. That one is dedicated to the athletics.
No, it's on Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 18th.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morris.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
why we're a team. We will have it Tuesday, May 18th for the athletics. Then we should have one also that Thursday.
That's the general meeting.
That's the general meeting. So more information and more questions about just anything ninth grade center. Then we'll also have one that focuses on special programs. That one should be May 24th. And then we'll also have one where we'll host a meeting in Spanish. And that one will be.
I can't wait to watch her host a meeting in Spanish. I'm very excited. That's on the 26th.
Yo quiero aprender español.
25.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay. That's the 25th.
Question on
Okay. Will all 3 floors be used next year? Yes, they will be. And I'm surprised no one asked this question. How many students are we anticipating having next year? We are anticipating 750 students next year, which is why, yes, all 3 floors will be had. Okay. Will there be a strict policy on hair colors? It will be the same policy that the current high school has. So students will be able to express themselves by having the various hair colors. You all are just getting the chance to meet Mr. Morrison, but he now has the salt and pepper. He normally
It's
has
gray.
gray. Okay. He has the platinum blonde.
Distinguished
or
look.
Yeah.
So yes, your students are able to express themselves through their hair color. And so, yes, it won't be strict. Students need to express themselves. So I just mentioned that we'll have 750 students. And so what Ms. Morris and I continue to do as we are scheduling, we want to make sure that we keep that class size down as little as possible. So we're trying to stay around 22, 23 students per class period in our own level classes. And so one of the biggest questions we often get, are the lunches good?
That was a question right there from
Yes.
Stephanie H.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie, for asking that question. Are the lunches good? Yes. So seeing as though our students are coming from the middle school where they typically get 2 choices, they will now have 4 choices. And it's almost like a Fuddruckers or something
Mhm.
because they get to make,
It's build your own.
it's build your own.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the lunches are going to be good. So the students will be happy. Now, they won't get a chance to go off campus like they will once they get to the senior year, but they will have great lunches. Miss Anna Martin, she does a wonderful job making sure our children's palates are pleased. And so oftentimes she'll also do some food, what do you call those, food sample groups, food tester groups,
Yes.
to try different things on the menu.
Sampler platter.
Sampler,
And
okay.
when the kids do their tour of the campus, we're trying to get Miss Martin there to just answer their questions there in the cafeteria. So
And
they
she's agreed to come.
that'll be great. That'll be
Yes.
good for the kids.
And that just speaks to how amazing Huddle ISD people are, because Miss Anna Martin, who runs all the food service, child nutrition food service for the entire district, she's going to take those 2 days to come and meet with the middle school and ask them or answer any questions they may have. Will the lunches be split? We will have 3 lunches during our period. The children will have 45-minute lunches, and that'll be 4th, 5th, and 6th period. And we'll max at about 250 students per lunch as much as possible.
Round tables.
Yes.
Round
yes.
tables.
We have round tables, and we also have some flexible seating for our students.
Mhm.
You're very welcome, Ms. Brown. Are the 9th graders going to have dances and stuff like that by themselves or with the high school? We're going to have dances by ourselves.
Sock
Mhm.
hops, we
There
call
you
them.
go, sock hops. What was the other name? Sadie Hawkins. Sadie Hawkins
I don't-
dance that you don't know?
Mm-mm.
Okay, maybe that's where I grew up. But yes, we will
Yes.
have dances. And I have an idea. I have to run it by my superintendent first, but we will have dances for our students.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes, yes. Can I ask you a question, Dr. Thomas?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Yay, yay. We would like to have a graduation, a 9th grade graduation.
Oh, no.
Is that a possibility? No. Okay, yeah.
But we can definitely have some sort of a promotion ceremony, but
Right.
you're at the high school level now, and we want to make sure that we reserve graduation for graduation.
Right.
Graduation is from high school, but I think you can definitely look at a promotion ceremony or a celebration ceremony for the kids, most definitely, since they're moving from one campus to another.
Right.
Yes.
So she said it best, a promotion ceremony, because we do want to celebrate them going from one level to the next. And that's huge, going from 9th grade successfully to the 10th grade. That's huge. We want to celebrate our students. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for that. You're welcome. We'll just make sure that Mr. Morrison doesn't dance at the dances.
I will challenge some of these kids to a dance off.
You know, this is being recorded. Mhm, okay. Any additional questions? Really appreciate the questions that you all have.
Oh, it's a feminine question.
What did you call it?
Food of minimal nutritional value.
Oh.
Yeah, so there are vending machines. I don't know I don't know if we will have, that's a good question on
Mhm.
vending machines. I'm not sure whether we will have those or not. Let me
Mhm.
get back with you on that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. More than likely not, but we're gonna research it, but because since we do have an outside vendor that takes care of our food. We don't have vending machines in the cafeteria that will compete with that, with the company that we're using for our lunches, but we'll double check just to be sure.
Correct. You'll have to do it out after school. You cannot sell any other snacks or even have them in the immediate area where food is being served by the cafeteria. But clubs and organizations can definitely sell after school. And that's a huge opportunity for fundraising.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Childs. Okay, great question. As a parent, oftentimes, especially if this is your first freshman or the only freshman that you've had going to this next level, what are some of the questions or some of the anxieties that you have about your student going to the next level? Are we going to have field trips? Ideally, yes, because that is something that we've kind of, especially once you get to the secondary level, we kind of go away from. However, going to field trips is vital as far as the education is concerned. There may be trips because we're going to focus on career and technical education. As we talked about before, we actually have UCHEC, East Williamson County Higher Education Center, right down the street. And many of our students haven't been exposed to that. So that's a possible field trip that we may take. We may decide to go to do some college visits, or we may decide to go to a local business if someone has decided to go into the STEM endorsement pathway and they're interested in something. So field trips is definitely a possibility. Will we be able to use phones at any point like lunch? And so thank you, Ms. Kent, for asking that question. Ms. Kenter, young Ms. Kenter, we will not be able to use phones during lunch. As soon as you get on the campus, phone is off, and then once the bell rings at 4:25, you'll be able to use your phones. Thank you for that question. Is there a home ec class? So actually, we have 3 along those lines. We have one that's health and that's an educational course. We have one that's a hospitality course, and then we have another course where we'll have Miss Gutierrez that'll teach those courses. So yes, we will. And the nice thing about those CTE courses, those career and technical education courses, we've outfitted those classrooms with very different furniture to make sure that you all are comfortable and successful in those classes, and also that they're similar to what you will see out in the workforce. So thank you for that question, Ms. Stephanie. And we use phones on the buses. Yes. Now, if the bus driver says, I would need to check on that because our policy in school is no. But the bus drivers do have their rules and regulations. If that's actually something I personally would need to check on, never had that question before. I wouldn't see why not, but.
Most of them do on the buses. They'll listen to
Yeah.
their music and stuff on the way home.
Yeah. Is JROTC at the 9th grade center as well? Yes, thank you for that question. We will have JROTC on our campus. We actually have a really nice space designed just for JROTC, and we will share some of those Chief Collins, Major Garages, and then Sergeant Alexander Ortiz. We will share those people with the high school. They'll come over, and we have 3 periods allocated for them, first, second, and third period. So looking forward to having JROTC. Thank you, Ms. Butcher. And Ms. Butcher, if you're a parent or if you are the student who's interested in JROTC, please recruit more students for that program for us. Will there be Leos? We haven't had anybody ask for that, but guess what? We'll get that started. We have Miss Hollingsworth, who used to be the Leo sponsor at the high school. We can get with her and have her train someone to help us on campus with Leos. And one thing we talk about is that, yes, again, two separate campuses, but we work collectively. We would like for clubs like Leo, we would like for JROTC, it still be a vertical teaming such that when students leave the freshman center, they already have a connection at the high school. And also that we have some teachers that are at the high school already familiar with some of our students. Thank you, Melissa, for that question. Beautiful way to spell your name also. Never seen it spelled that way.
You want to address robotics at all?
Yeah, more too.
No, I was gonna let you.
So Mr. Morrison is talking about robotics. So one thing about the ninth grade center, just as a whole, we don't want our students to miss out on anything because we created the ninth grade center. So one thing Mr. Morrison and I have been working on recently, we've been talking with Mr. Andrew Haub, who's the robotics teacher at the high school. We want to make sure that our students who had the interest in middle school, who took robotics in middle school, that they don't skip robotics in ninth grade and then jump back into it, or possibly not jump back into it at the high school level because we didn't offer something at the ninth grade center. So we are currently planning how we're going to continue that vertical teaming from middle school, ninth grade, and then also to our senior high, such that we have robotics program at the ninth grade center. Currently, we're talking about having possibly the robotics club after school, and then also how we're going to infuse those TEKs, the learning of building robotics, into our principles of engineering class. Okay, so thank you for thinking of that.
Mhm.
Have you heard anything about the sandbox? Will ninth graders still have that opportunity? I haven't heard anything about the sandbox, particularly just for ninth graders, but I do not see why we will not be a part of that. And so that'll be something we just work out with Miss LaJudas, and I'm pretty sure she will be more than happy to make sure that our ninth graders are a part of the sandbox. And that's one thing, being a part of the sandbox, and also other community organizations like the Huddle Resource Center, things like that, where our students, again, connect not just at the school, but also in the community to make sure they feel a part and also give back to the community. So please continue to ask us questions like that, and then contact us with different ideas that you may have. What is the sandbox? So sandbox, I don't have the formal definition, but it is an organization that we do have here in Hutto that was created due to the loss of one of our students. So the program gives back to the community. They volunteer, they bring different prizes or different treats to our teachers a different time. And it's just in the honor and in the memory of one of our Hutto students who has passed.
And it's a space that's out by Farley, basically,
Mhm.
and they do, all kinds of fun little youth things out there. They'll have bonfires out there every once in a while. I know Young Life meets out there quite a bit. So
Mhm.
it's just there's a lot of opportunities for kids to get involved that they don't want anybody to be, like that said, it's just a safe place for teens. Yeah.
Mhm. And thank you for dropping that into the chat, so more information could be shared about that. Yeah, safe place for teens. Good.
Mhm.
Okay. And Mr. Morrison just mentioned Young Life. That is an organization that's active, definitely at the high school. And so we will continue that at the ninth grade center, where again, it's about students understand the value of being of service to your community and how that builds you as a person. And so we'll be working with Pastor Barone in that capacity as well. What's the dress code going to be like? The dress code is going to be the same dress code that we currently have at the high school, because again, we are still vertically aligning. We don't want to do anything completely different from the high school and then set the students up for failure when they go to the high school. But I will share with you, as I told the students in middle school during our lunch visits, that we contemplated doing uniforms, but we know the students want to be able to express themselves in the way that they dress within dress code. So we're not going to be doing uniforms, but it'll be the same dress code that the high school has. And then also talking to them more of why we have the dress code and the importance of dressing for success, and them understanding that high school, ninth grade is their current job. And just as we're asking them to have a dress code, we as professionals have dress code as well. And so we'll be modeling that. Thank you for that question, Stephanie. Any additional questions? Okay. Great. Well, we have about 12 minutes for any additional questions that you may have. What haven't we talked about, Mr. Morrison?
Maybe parent pickup or parent parking,
Okay.
anything like that?
Okay, and Ms. Kingsley, feel free to jump in if there's something we haven't talked about pertaining to fine arts as well. So we do have, of course, parent pickup and parking. We should not have many walkers, but that's something we've talked about as well. We do have a bus loop that's been designed, but always in thinking about school safety, we're thinking about possibly changing where the bus loop is. I'll continue that in just a minute. Someone asked, when does school start? It will start at 9 a.m. next year and it will end at 4:25. Will the second counselor be female? We do have two counselors. The first counselor is Mr. Johnny Kay, who's coming over from the high school, which is very good because then he can counsel our students and talk to them about what to expect at the next level and what classes will be good at the 10th through 12th grade level. And then our second counselor is Miss Tanya Castro. She comes to us out of Houston. And so, yes, we do have the balance of male and female counselor. So thank you for that question. Okay, so we will make sure that we're very explicit as far as bus routes, and then also parent pickup, the time and location when you are able to pick up your students as well as drop off your students on campus. What else, Mr. Morrison?
Just, I'm trying to think of anything else that they might
ask about.
Ask about how early we'll be able to drop them off. That's a good question.
Okay, so school starts at 9 o'clock, and then we'll probably start serving breakfast around 8:25, 8:35. That'll be something we'll discuss with Miss Martin. So it'll be the same time frame because at the high school currently we can drop them off at 7:45 and school
15
doesn't
minutes.
start
Mhm.
until 8:35.
Yeah, about 15 minutes, excuse me, about 45 minutes prior to the
before.
bell.
Okay. And so that'll probably be along the same lines. Great question. So as we're continuing to think about additional questions, Ms. Kingsley, did you have anything fine arts specific that we may have missed or you want to touch on?
Boosters.
Well, we did talk about the shared space between dance and theater. I do want to make sure that parents understand that we will be putting in some appropriate flooring for those dance students so that safety is not a concern.
Mhm. Will dance prep have lockers? That's a great question. Because the space that we currently have, we do share dance in the theater space. And so we have restrooms, male and female, of course, that have lockers, but that's something we need to think about.
Yeah, we just have to look at that space. There are
Mhm.
lockers there. We've just got to
Mhm.
designate dance from theater.
Mhm. Yeah, so thank you for that question. Yeah, need to figure out where, okay. Does everyone get lockers? Okay, so we do not have lockers, the ninth grade center. So most of the materials your student will have, they'll need to carry in their hands or in their backpacks because a lot of our curriculum is online, but we will still have what I call some of the old school, possibly textbooks
Mhm.
and materials that your students will need. So that's a great question as well. It's interesting. We've been in the process of planning and working,
Mhm.
and there's so many different aspects of opening the school, so many different things we've thought about. But Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. Will students have textbooks or will those be in class? So much of the curriculum will be online, but there will be some classes that do have textbooks. There may be a CTE class that has a textbook. There may be a special education class that has a textbook. So it just varies based on the course. And one thing we used to do that we will probably still continue to do is if we do have textbooks in the classroom and you as a parent would like to have that resource at home and you don't want it to go back and forth, just feel free to contact us. Either Mr. Morrison or Mr. Pettis will take care of the textbooks and we'll get that resource to you at the house for your student to have. Are the students getting a Chromebook to use? Yes, we are one-to-one as a district, so the students will have a ThinkPad to use. These are great questions. Keep them coming. Will tech have someone on campus if they need help? This is a great question because the ninth grade center is going to have what we call a digital media specialist. This person will be old school librarian, if you will, but they have a new title because they have a lot more responsibility. It's definitely where it comes into play as far as technology is concerned. So the digital media specialist will be someone who could help with the technology, but we also have someone from our district technology department that will come and service our computers and also the space, our digital media, but our media space will have a place where our students could learn to work on some of the ThinkPads as well. So that's an awesome opportunity. And I think we may have missed one before that one. Will the NGC be part of the same thespian troupe as the high school? Yes. Okay. Is it just for ninth grade or do we get a new one in high school? So my understanding of the one-to-one plan is once you get to the high school, once you get to the ninth grade center, once you get that ThinkPad, that one should be your ThinkPad from ninth all the way through 12th grade, which is why you definitely want to make sure that you take care of it. You'll be asked to sign a piece of paper talking about the insurance, and we'll make sure that we help keep it going for you. So you will have one from ninth all the way through 12th grade.
Yes, ThinkPad.
Okay, so ThinkPad, it's similar to a Chromebook. I'm not a techie, but it's similar to a Chromebook. But it's an upgraded version, which is why the district has chosen to go now with ThinkPads versus Chromebooks. But it's similar features. It still looks like a laptop, but it's high tech.
It'll do more.
It'll do more.
But it won't hold the charge longer, so you got to make sure you
no.
charge it every night.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's a huge point. One thing about when we went to one-to-one and during COVID, one concern was that our students may possibly come to school and have forgotten to charge it. But with all of our students, they've done an amazing job making sure that they come to school ready to learn, which means they had their ThinkPad or their Chromebook, whichever the school has currently. They come ready. And so the same thing will need to be done once they're in high school, once at the ninth grade center. Once they're in the ninth grade center, because we will have the students, the technology in their hands, and we want it to be charged, not that they have to sit and plug in all the time. Now, if they forget because life happens and we do that, we'll be able to go to the library and get a charge. Yeah, and the way the building is designed as well, there'll be some furniture that has the outlets for them to charge. We'll have some charging stations actually that we float around the campus or in particular neighborhood spots, and then also in the digital media space. Can we put stickers on them? Yes, feel free to put stickers on them. Make it your own.
If they're appropriate.
There you go, school appropriate. School appropriate stickers. How and when do we get the nurse to hand specific papers? Okay.
So if they have medical, if they're ready to check in with a nurse.
Okay, so if I'm understanding that correct, just to make sure that we have the proper documentation for your students' medical needs. So we will have registration coming up. You want to make sure that you update those papers then. And then also, just as a parent myself, I always want to make sure that my electronic documents went through or whatever the case may be. I would physically go to the school and make sure, or give a call and let the nurse say, hey, this is my son. Do you have all the necessary paperwork for my student? And then also the necessary medication, for example, if we may need an EpiPen on campus.
And a lot of that stuff we even put into Skyward. So so like if they have carry an inhaler with them or whatever, they document that in Skyward for us to see on our end, which is nice.
Yeah, and the inhaler would be in the nurse's office. We don't have students who self-carry. Can we embarrass the students and come and eat lunch with them? And yes, you can come and eat lunch with them, because one thing, as we previously stated, is that parents are a vital part of our students' education. So we definitely want you to come to the campus, eat lunch with your student, and also volunteer. We have several parent committees. We have the PTSA that we are going to have. And so we'll probably do the kickoff in late July for that. We're going to have a parent academy where you as a parent learn different things about your freshman student, how to support them educationally at home, behavioral at home, and then also how to help them progress through their 10th through 12th grade year and what that support looks like. So yes, please do come and have lunch with your student. Yes, awesome. Thank you. When is registration? And I apologize, I don't know those dates offhand.
It's actually open now.
Okay.
Returning student registration is open. They can just go to the website, hipponation.org/registration. And it can all be done online, 100%.
Okay. Everyone hear that one?
Did they hear that, Todd?
Okay.
Okay.
Mike's all up. Okay. Thank you for that question. Okay. No, Miss
Doesn't
Stephanie
want their
said
mom to eat
no.
with them. Does not want
Oh,
mom to
that's
eat with them.
Stephanie. Stephanie, it's okay. It's a beautiful thing to have your parent come and eat lunch with you. It's a beautiful thing. That's too fun. No. Guess what? Mr. Morrison and myself, we'll be in lunch as well. So I'm remember Stephanie. We'll go and sit and have lunch with Stephanie anywhere she sits with.
Taco Tuesdays.
Taco Tuesdays. All right. Well, it is now 7:00. We made it through. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you who decided to stop and tune in and ask us questions about the ninth grade center. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Mr. Morrison or I, Lakeisha.Whitfield, huddleisd.net. Same thing for Mr. Shannon Morrison at huddleisd.net. This has been recorded. You're very welcome. And it will be placed on the NGC website for you to review. And looking forward to being your student's principal. Very excited about that opportunity.
It's going to be a good time. Y'all get ready. Just hang on.
Just hang on. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.